In this video, bringing you guys every single Dojutsu ranked in Shindo Life. Now, if you guys are unaware of what Dojutsu Bloodlines are, they're kind of just eye bloodlines, things that change your eye effect in the game. Now, there actually is quite a bit of them. There's actually 24 to be precise if you're not including Kagoku, which I didn't. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. It's kind of just a combination of all the different types of, bloodline videos that I've done. I do feel like this is a really cool one. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Let's get right into it. Remember to hit the like button, subscribe. Now, coming to 24th place, it could be Satori Rengoku. It's kind of been 24th just because Satori Rengoku is absolutely insane. This is actually the skinned version of Satori Ren, which is Satori Gold. But I do feel like Satori Ren, 24th place, it's not insane. I know I just said that. It is not insane. It's really bad. This is actually the worst on the list. I think the only merit to Satori Rengoku in the end is actually, how much damage the first ability does. But in the end of things, Satori Ren is just not that great. It looks really cool. I'm sure it's some people's favorite just because of how cool the KG actually is. But in the end of things, Satori Ren just, yeah, it's kind of doo-doo butter. Now, coming to 23rd place is going to be the normal Jokai. Now, this would be coming in 23rd because normal Jokai just is obviously the worst Dojutsu in the game. It does a lot less damage than Arahaki Jokai. The abilities in general are just much worse. But in the end, it is still a, Dojutsu. I gotta say, almost every single one is actually really good in this game. But Jokai is definitely going to come in last because the subpar mode and the abilities just don't do that much damage when compared to normal. Now, coming to 22nd place, it's going to be Sriracha Akuma. Now, Sriracha Akuma going to be coming in 22nd because even though it's not the best KG in the world, it's also not the worst, hence why it's not going to be the worst on this list. I would also like to say that every single Dojutsu in this game is actually quite good besides like 2 of them. But in the end of things, Sriracha, it's very hard to combo with, but it is a pretty decent KG. I mean, you do have everything you would need in a bloodline. You have like an iframe, you have a good block break, you have, good damage. Like you guys just saw that. CO, it's kind of hard to hit these abilities in general, but it does have everything you would need. In the end, it is an Akuma, which definitely gives it some plus points. Now, coming to 21st place, it's going to be Shindai Akuma. Now, Shindai Akuma is going to be coming 21st because I do feel like this bloodline, it is better than it used to be. If it wasn't buffed, it actually would be at the bottom of the list, but it is better than it used to be. It is a mode drain. It does lots of damage, but in the end of things, it's still kind of a gimmick bloodline. It does have the clone ability, but the clone ability, it's mainly just good for, I gotta say, it's mainly just good for just cheese clone combos, but in the end of things, you're better off just using other bloodlines. Now, coming to 20th place is going to be the normal Diva Rengoku. Diva Rengoku is coming in 20th. This is the skinned version of Diva Ren, just so you guys are aware. But this is going to be coming in 20th place because Diva Ren, in the end, it still is iframes. It still has a bunch of AoE. They actually did buff it, so the AoE is more than it used to be. AoE still isn't great, obviously, but as I said before, it is more than it used to be. You can actually hit the abilities now, which is why it's not ranked the lowest on this list. But as it stands, Diva Ren is still only going to be in 20th because I do feel like the abilities are just kind of lackluster when compared to some of the newer abilities in the game. Now, coming in 19th place is going to be Ren Shiki. Now, Ren Shiki is going to be coming in 19th. I do feel like Ren Shiki, the actual auto dodge ability, it does last quite a while. It is good. It lasts over 5 seconds, so you can't really M1 stagger or anything like that. Also, the actual Ren Shiki abilities, they're not the greatest in the world, hence why it's going to be this low. But I do feel like the auto dodge, it is so good to the point where it has to be at this high up on the list. I mean, it gives you chi back. Like, there's no other auto dodge in the game that gives you chi back like that. Not to mention, it is also a really long iframe. They're coming at 18th place. It could be Xeno Dokai. Now, Xeno Dokai is becoming 18th just because of how good it is for boss farming. It actually isn't that great for PvP, but I did move it up on the list simply because it is good for boss farming. The C spec is mainly good for boss farming. It does a lot of damage to bosses, but yeah, that's the only thing about Xeno. Hey, you. Yeah, you. Have you remembered to hit that like button on the video yet? If you haven't already, go ahead and do it. Now, coming to 17th place, it could be Doku Tengoku. This we have at 17th because even though the abilities aren't the greatest in the world, they are usable. I do feel like Doku Tengoku in the end actually is a very usable KG. The mode is actually quite good. I know people say the mode isn't good. The mode is one of the better modes in the game because it is combo extendable. I mean, imagine Ryuji Kiichi's Z spec, but if it had 0 end lag to it, so you would actually be able to combo with it and stuff like that. There also is a counter move. Now, I'm not sure if it's going to hit me or not. Oh, he actually did. Nice. So the counter move right here, it does do a decent amount of damage, but half the time the ability doesn't ever hit. So, that is a major downside to Doku Tengoku's counter. If they made it so it actually, hit more often than not, or if it was a guaranteed hit, the counter would be much better than it is now. But in the end, it's not that great. And the second ability is very close to being worthless. It just hits them and knocks them back far away. So yeah, that's why it's gonna be coming in 17th. Now coming in 16th place, it's gonna be Bankai Inferno. Now it is actually, I gotta say, it is carried by the breakaway. I do feel like the breakaway is quite good. People don't really use this as much as they probably should. If you know how to use the breakaway, it is absolutely insane. But the actual abilities of Bankai Inferno, they're not the worst in the world. You do have stun abilities. You have an ability that drains a ton of mode and does a lot of damage to someone, even though that ability does have like the longest startup of any move in the game. You do have basically an Emperor Chi Blade, buffed M1s, and you do actually have a clone ability in the weapon spec. I mean, the throwable. I'm not going to use it because, you know, sometimes it bugs out and takes forever to hit. But in the end of things, Bankai Inferno is definitely worthy of being this high up on the list just because of the breakaway itself. Now coming to 15th place is going to be Dokai. Now Dokai is going to be coming to 15th because I do feel like Dokai is actually very, very, very good as a bloodline. I do feel like if you know how to use like M1s, or if you know how to just combo in general, Dokai is absolutely nuts considering a lot of the abilities. Yeah, as you guys can see, they did fix the air combo thing. You can't do that anymore. But how Dokai actually performs now is really, 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 really good for combo specifically. I would like to say M1 combos is kind of the specialty here, but in the end of things, Dokai, yeah, M1 combo KG is good for combos. Now coming to 14th place is going to be Arahaki Jokai, otherwise known as Golda Jokai before they introduced the Golda Jokai skin. Now I do feel like Arahaki Jokai, it isn't the worst KG in the world, hence why it's pretty much halfway on this list. I do deem it as like halfway through the Jujutsus. The third ability had its iframes almost completely stripped from it. The second ability, you can't use it during combos anymore. And overall, I do feel like just Arahaki Jokai isn't quite as good as it used to be, or even close to how good it used to be. But it still has insane damage output. It still has the chance to do a lot of damage, you know. It's just mainly a damage KG now and a slight combo extended KG with the third move. Now coming to 13th place is going to be Sunbokuu. Now this is going to be in 13th place because the actual last mode of it is quite good. Not to mention the actual abilities of Sengoku are also quite good. I would say Sengoku is one of the better team fighting bloodlines in the actual game because Sengoku iframes go nuts. Not to mention the fact that Sengoku actually does have absolutely massive AoE abilities. It does have this absolutely insane third mode right here. Boom, 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 boom. Absolutely say third mode, and then you do actually have a counter. The counter ability, it actually is good. The people that say it's bad, it's just because, you know, if you guys know how to counter the abilities, it's not very hard to counter. But the other things, it actually is a really, really good counter. It does have iframes, giant block breaking abilities, and yeah, Sengoku definitely worthy of being this high up. Now coming to 12th place, it could be Shiver Akuma. Now this is going to be mainly because Shiver Akuma is actually really, really annoying to fight, but it does have some combo potential as well. So with the actual weapon spec is kind of just the worst forged red weapon spec. The actual abilities are pretty decent stuns. They are place lock stuns, or they just like, yeah, send them to the shadow dimension, you know what I'm saying? But when it comes to Shiver Akuma, I do think it's more of an annoying bloodline, but I do have to admit that actually is okay for, you know, PvP. Now coming to 11th place is going to be Tengoku. You guys know why this is in 11th. Tengoku is overall a really, really good KG. I do feel like people don't really give Tengoku enough credit because you can actually combo extend with the mode quite well. It does do lots of damage. I think Tengoku is by far the highest damage output KG in literally the entire game. Not only that, but it actually is really good for combos. You just have to bait out their auto dodge beforehand. And the actual beam ability also does quite a bit of damage, which is actually kind of crazy, you know, considering the beam used to do so much damage that they actually nerfed it. Weapon spec, you have to hit it correctly to do all the damage, but once you do that, it actually does a lot of damage. So now coming to 10th place is going to be Light Jokai. Now this is going to be mainly because of the mode. I do actually feel like the mode of Light Jokai is very, 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 very good. Like, it's nuts. You can basically set up combos off of that ability alone. Not to mention the actual abilities of it aren't the worst in the world. You know, they are usable. I do see people use them sometimes, but in the end of things, the main thing it's going to get carried by is the mode. Now coming to 9th place is going to be the normal Akuma. Specifically, I would say with the mode, you guys want to use C4 mode because it actually does give you a decent amount of stats and actually is good for M1 combos because it doesn't knock them back. I would also like to say the C-spec, boom, it's going to be a free 90k damage. Yeah, you guys just saw that, 90,000 damage. Not to mention that Akuma actually does a decent amount of damage as well. It does have an auto dodge. It does have a pretty good stun. So in the end of things, Akuma is actually a very, very good KG, especially for its rarity, but I don't think it really compares to the better KGs in the game, but Akuma is definitely worth having if you have it. Coming in 8th place, it could be Ryan Run Goku. This will be coming in 8th just because Ryan Run has actually received some major buffs. I actually do not have the Ryan Run second mode, but it doesn't have any timer anymore and the stats were nerfed. But the actual Ryan Run, I do feel like Ryan Run is actually much better than it used to be. The third ability is a place lock stun, not on the stun global cooldown, and the place lock lasts like a second. So, you know, that's a major plus. It does have the pool ability, which has 0 end lag now, so you can actually attack during the pool. I feel like I don't really need to explain why this is just so good. Ryan Ren is definitely much better than it used to be, and Ryan Ren in the end of things is actually a pretty decent KG now, hence why it's an 8. Now coming in 7th place, it could be Forged Rengoku. Yes, Forged Rengoku coming in 7th, nice and hot, top 10 in the Dojutsu tier list. I do actually feel like Forged Ren is quite good as a bloodline itself. You know, all the abilities are really good for just escaping or avoiding damage entirely. Not to mention that Forged Ren, it's one of the more annoying cages in the game, so that's definitely some plus points right there on itself. It also does a lot more damage than it probably should. I mean, I feel like Forged Ren is like one of those like secret high damage KGs. You don't expect it to do lots of damage, but it really does. So yeah, it's gonna be coming in 7th just because you can avoid damage like crazy with it. Now coming in 6th place is gonna be normal Rengoku. This is becoming in 6th because Rengoku actually is a very decent KG in the end of things. Now it's gonna become in 6th because I do feel like Rengoku, you know, even though, you know, blah 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 blah, it was reworked. You know, it does have some, you know, bad qualities of it, like that, like you can't really combo with it and things like that. But I do feel like Rengoku, you know, it is good. I mean, like you have all the different paths that have all the different stun attacks. You can do lots of damage, and in the end of things, like Rengoku mode is like a literal bloodline in itself. Not to mention the fact that you actually do have pretty decent bloodlines in the end of things. So yeah, Rengoku is definitely worth using, and hence why it's going to be in 6th. It actually is quite good. Now coming to 5th place is going to be Satori Akuma. Satori Akuma coming in 5th just because of the mode. It's literally just the mode. The actual abilities of Satori aren't that great, but the mode is amazing. You do have this block break weapon spec that does tons of damage. Not to mention that it is also an iframe, but then you have a C spec which lets you run away from people insanely fast. Now the actual abilities of Satori Akuma are not that great overall. Also, not to mention that if you have a weapon with a global cooldown, it actually it puts my Satori third ability on cooldown. What the actual crap? That's definitely a bug, but yeah, with Satori Akuma, in the end, I feel like Satori Akuma is kind of carried by the mode, but the mode is just that good that it has to be in 5th. Now coming to 4th place could be Ryan Akuma. Now Ryan Akuma is going to be coming to 4th because I do feel like Ryan Akuma it's still really good as a bloodline. The third ability had its iframes removed, but it still is one of the furthest range good damage block breakers. It's like a Mecha Spirit first ability, but you do still get iframes with it. So it's like Mecha Spirit first, but with iframes. Not to mention the fact that you can actually stack with the second ability. It actually does stack with any ability in the game. You do have a counter, you have a C-spec that chi seals, mode drains, does a decent amount of damage. And then yeah, I feel like Ryan Akuma definitely, you know, it's still really good. I still use it. Ryan Akuma used to be my favorites for so long, and it still is one of my more favorite bloodlines in the game because it still is extremely fun to use. Now coming to 3rd place is going to be Bankai Akuma. Now this is going to be coming to 3rd because Bankai Akuma I do feel like is very good as a KG. You know, it pretty much has everything you would ever want. It has a mode drain iframe ability that actually not, you know, it has buffed M1s. You do have an auto dodge. You know, it's easy to counter the auto dodge, but in the end of things, it is still an auto dodge. You can still avoid abilities with it. That's because it does have a place lock stun, which obviously, you know, you guys know how good place lock stuns are. And it does have a perfect auto tracking high damage ability on the third ability. As you guys can see, it just did 60,000 damage. It is almost instant. It hits up to 2 people. So yeah, Bankai Akuma definitely is very good. You know, it's not as good as number 1 and 2, but it still is very worth using, hence why it's one of the most popular in the game. Now coming in 2nd place, it could be Shindai Rengoku. Now Shindai Ren is going to be coming in 2nd. You guys are probably aware just how good this is. I'm sure I've told you guys how good it is before. Shindai Ren is absolutely nuts. You do have the absolute insane, absolutely amazing M1s. You have infinite flight. Now, I really hope I can get down here. Okay, the flight didn't bug out. Sometimes the flight bugs out. And you actually have the abilities Shindai Ren were actually quite good. The first ability, it's not the greatest in the world. It's not the worst. The second ability is a block break. Like, it's an extremely good block break at that. And then you do actually have the third ability, which is the third ability is actually a counter ability, which summons clones. Now, these clones actually do a lot of damage, but you do have to place lock for them to do all the damage that they can. But if you place lock, the clones do like 200,000 damage themselves. So yeah, this KG is nuts, man. It's absolutely insane, hence why it's going to be in 2nd on this list. By the way, guys, what is your favorite Dojutsu bloodline in Shindo Life? Feel free to tell me in the comments below. I'm actually really curious to see what the most popular one is. Now, coming in 1st place in a theater near you is going to be Riser Akuma. Now, Riser Akuma is going to be coming in 1st because I do feel like Riser Akuma, it does have one of the best auto dodges in the game. And as you guys know, the auto dodges are extremely meta right now. You can still dash, you can still use C specs during it. So yeah, I do feel like that makes the auto dodge even better because you can't use abilities during it, but it does have the explosion at the end that lets you set up your own combos yourself and things like that. I would also like to mention that the actual stun ability of Riser is extremely good for starting M1 combos, but I do think in team fights that the ability is quite terrible. So It's kind of just a strictly 1v1 type of ability. Also, the third ability, it's kind of bad. It's not kind of bad, it is really bad. It has like 0 iframes, but yeah. I do feel like Rise of Kuma, the auto dodge, the stun, and the C-spec definitely carry it to being first on this list. Anyways, guys, thanks for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit the like button. Guys, bye-bye.